Imagine standing face to face with a medieval knight, a man forged by war, wrapped in steel, trained since childhood to fight, endure, and conquer. Now picture yourself, a modern person. Life today is easier than ever. Comfort surrounds us, technology serves us, and physical endurance is no longer a necessity. For us, the fear of pain and death is natural. Extreme conditions trigger stress, panic, and psychological weakness. But for him, pain was routine, danger was daily life, and fear was something to overcome, not avoid. His body is a weapon, his armor an extension of himself, and his purpose, battle. In this video, we'll compare the medieval warrior to the modern human and see just how wide the gap truly is. Today, a 7-year-old boy in America spends his day at school, comes home to cartoons, video games, or TikTok, and maybe runs around on the playground for a while. His biggest responsibility might be homework or remembering to clean his room. But in the Middle Ages, at the very same age, his world was completely different. A noble boy was sent away from home to live in another lord's household, serving as a page. His mornings began not with cereal and a school bus, but with chores, discipline, and drills. He learned how to ride horses, run long distances, and carry equipment far heavier than the backpack of a modern school kid. Think about this. The average school backpack in the US weighs around 8 to 12 pounds. A page was already handling gear that could weigh 20, sometimes 30 pounds, training his body for the armor and weapons he would one day carry. Where a modern child might play Little League baseball or practice soccer twice a week, a medieval boy's practice was daily. His games were wrestling matches, sparring with wooden swords, or mock battles. What looked like play was, in reality, survival training. By his teenage years, around 14, he became a squire. Picture yourself at that age, stressing about exams, your first crush, maybe learning to drive in a few years. Now imagine instead sharpening swords, carrying a knight's heavy shield and lance, cleaning and repairing armor, and following him into real campaigns. A squire's training wasn't just physical, it was psychological. He learned how to control fear, how to face blood, wounds, and death up close. Step by step, year after year, this boy was transformed. His body grew strong, not in comfort, but in hardship. His mind wasn't sheltered from pain, but shaped to master it. From the age of 7, his life had one path. Not comfort, not safety, not entertainment, but preparation for war. Years of training transformed that boy into a man unlike anyone we know today. By the time he became a knight, his body was a machine built for endurance, strength, and combat. There's a common myth that knights were weighed down by their armor, slow and clumsy like statues of steel. In reality, a full suit of plate armor weighed about 45 to 60 pounds, similar to a modern soldier's gear. Knights could run, climb, wrestle, and even mount their horses without assistance. They were true athletes of the battlefield. To put this into perspective, the average modern person can carry a backpack of 20 to 30 pounds for a few miles. A knight carried his own body weight plus armor and weapons, often for hours, and then had to fight at the end of it. Their stamina was on the level of professional football players, Olympic wrestlers, or marathon runners. Yet their survival depended on it. Historical records show knights could march 20 to 30 miles in a single day, wearing armor, carrying weapons, and still be expected to fight. Imagine walking a marathon in steel armor, then immediately entering combat, managing pain, exhaustion, and danger at the same time. For a modern person, even a short run or carrying a heavy bag can be exhausting. By the time a knight reached full maturity, he wasn't just strong, he was deadly precise. Every movement, every strike, every block had been drilled into his body for years until it became second nature. Knights didn't rely on raw strength alone. They mastered swords, lances, maces, axes, and even long-range weapons like bows and crossbows. Each weapon had its own technique, timing, and strategy. A sword wasn't simply swung wildly, it was thrust, parried, feinted, and followed by finishing moves, all executed with a speed and control that modern people rarely experience. Think about this. A modern person can barely swing a baseball bat accurately under stress or hit a moving target in a sport. A knight could fight a fully armed opponent, respond to multiple attackers, and make split-second decisions that meant the difference between life and death. His reflexes were honed through years of wrestling, jousting, and battlefield drills. Training wasn't just physical, it was mental. Knights had to anticipate their opponent's moves, stay calm under pressure, and manage pain from cuts, bruises, and exhaustion. Modern humans, accustomed to comfort, often panic in stressful situations. Exposure to extreme conditions, heavy loads, and constant threat made knights psychologically resilient, almost like living weapons. Every strike, every block, every maneuver was a combination of strength, skill, and instinct. By the time he faced a real battle, a knight's body and mind functioned together as a single, deadly instrument. A modern person, even in peak physical condition, would struggle to survive such intensity for more than a few minutes. By now, we've seen the body of a knight, strong, enduring, and trained for war. But the true power of a knight wasn't just physical, it was mental. From childhood, knights were conditioned to face danger, discomfort, and pain without hesitation. From long hours of exhausting training to harsh battlefield conditions, they learned to control fear and react with precision. While a modern person naturally flinches at pain or extreme stress, knights turned these challenges into tools. Their minds were as forged as their bodies. Pain, exhaustion, and injury were constant companions. Knights learned to ignore blood, bruises, and fatigue, making rapid decisions under pressure that could mean life or death. Modern humans often avoid discomfort, taking comfort and safety for granted. A knight had no such luxury. Every step, every swing of a sword, every maneuver on horseback was executed under the weight of danger, demanding complete mental focus. Strategic thinking was part of their psychological training. They constantly analyzed opponents, anticipated attacks, and adapted in the middle of combat. Where we might freeze, overthink, or panic, a knight reacted instantly, guided by instincts honed over years of repetition and exposure to high-stakes environments. Imagine the contrast. A modern person faces a stressful day, a traffic jam, a missed deadline, or a minor injury, and feels overwhelmed. Now imagine facing days of marching, wearing heavy armor, fighting multiple opponents, enduring pain and hunger, and making split-second decisions where any mistake could be fatal. This was the everyday reality for knights. War was more than a profession, it was a way of life. Knights embraced danger, pain, and even the possibility of death as part of their existence. Their bodies were weapons, yes, but their minds were equally formidable. Discipline, courage, resilience, and focus were cultivated until they became instinct. In the end, a knight was a human weapon, not just strong and skilled, but mentally unbreakable. His life, his training, and his entire being were dedicated to mastering war. Modern humans, no matter how strong or fit, would struggle to endure even a fraction of these conditions. So as we compare the medieval knight to us, it becomes clear the knight was the ultimate combination of mind, body, and skill. A living weapon shaped by an unforgiving world, and while we admire their discipline and courage, surviving in that world would be nearly impossible for a modern person. But understanding it gives us a glimpse into a life where human potential was pushed to the absolute limit, both physically and mentally.